Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Straight from the Still. Today we have a special guest, Greg Lieberman, up from 26 Degree Brewing in Pompano. We actually go way back. You'd be surprised. You'll hear a little bit about how long I've known Greg. I'm going to pass it over to Greg so he can give you a little introduction about himself, and we'll get into some really interesting things about legislation and distilling and brewing, and we have tons of fun stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, that's true. I know Avi since he was a fetus. I know him before he knew me because I remember when his mother Brenda was pregnant with him. So
he saw his pee-pee at his breast.
Yeah, it was quite substantial for a distiller. I know us brewers are well endowed there, but yeah, we grew up 3 or 4 doors down from each other in Rock Creek, Cooper City, and it's kind of funny. 2 nice Jewish boys go on to get engineering degrees. He was actually Ivy League and everything, real prestigious. And then,
So I have a bunch of video right now, and we might have to redo some stuff.
see, that's why I was saying. That's exactly when we sat down. I said, when you see it there, do you hear us, or should we listen?
Yeah, to it? The problem was when I put it on you, I saw the audio going, and I forgot to add it to the split screen. But it's okay.
Yours may not be on.
There's a lot of content that we probably missed, but it's okay. It's okay.
Well, we got some time. Let's review it.
Yeah. Well, we could just keep talking. So, on the distributor side, we both agree that distribution is a necessary thing that we have to have.
Mm-hmm. It should be the only.
Yeah.
Or the second tier in general. Yeah.
You shouldn't necessarily need the second tier. It's nice to have.
Yeah. Or it shouldn't.
They definitely don't agree with that opinion. But that's okay.
And they have a lot of money and they're established, so they're not going to go away without screaming. Like, we can't just eliminate them. And not that I would want to eliminate them.
No, we don't
in
want
general,
to.
But
we want them to keep running our product.
But it does, so there is a point where all of a sudden, and granted, we could make the free market argument of there's a lot of little guys opening, so then why wouldn't there be a lot of little distributors opening to be able to accommodate the little guys, and so they should be able to.
They try, right?
It's very capital intensive.
I know that there's Nomad in Miami that kind of sprung off of something with MIA Brewing. I'm not really sure exactly what that is, but I don't even know if they distribute for them. And then I know that CoFounder tried something up in Palm Beach, I think, with a former employee where they started to do distribution on a small scale. Mm-hmm. They're trying. Yeah. Whether or not it works, I don't really know.
And by the way, so technically there's not allowed to be any connection between the tiers either. It gets blurry, but my wife cannot be a distributor. She can't open up a distribution and all of a sudden, or my brother, he can't open up a distributor and then I can't sell him my beer.
Are you sure about that?
It's something to that.
I think your brother can absolutely open
my brother.
So the thing is with distribution is he couldn't do it if it was because you can be a brand owner and not a manufacturer, but you can't be a distributor only for your own brands.
Well, let's take it even more simply. Like I cannot be a distributor and a brewer.
No, definitely not. But you can for wine, actually. Funny enough.
Well, then I'm not sure about this, although I did consult an attorney about this as well. Is if let's say a good buddy of mine, or not even a good buddy of mine, but I want to go into business in for a restaurant. I cannot be part owner of a restaurant.
2.5% or lower.
So yeah,
you cannot, as a member of Tier 1, you cannot receive percentage-based payments for alcohol sales.
So it wouldn't be equity.
What you could do, and again, this is all about why going through legislation and finding the gray areas and what you can and cannot do until they change the laws again, right? But what you can do is if you wanted to be a partner in your buddy's restaurant, you can agree on a fixed payment, a fixed disbursement, unrelated to the sales of alcohol at the bar. You could actually, as a restaurant, have a second business that rents out the bar from it for management purposes and to separate the books, and you could make money off of the...
But which is crazy why there's got to be these...
No, of course. Again, it can be done just to spite the system.
And granted, I mean, look, if I all of a sudden wanted to open a restaurant, which I don't, we'll open up freestanding restaurants. I'd love to open up a kitchen in my brewery, but
Which you didn't want to do when we initially spoke about this.
Yeah,
by the
well,
way. You're like, we
at that
don't
point,
we don't sell
told you,
food.
We told you.
I'm into
You
beer,
lose.
so. Well, listen, dicks. So no, yeah, no. At that point, my main focus, as I should have been, and any of you fledgling brewery owners out there, laser focused about the most important thing. I was
Money?
ready to open up
Money.
money. No, but opening up getting enough money. So the goal was to open up a brewery. So I was like, well, I don't give a shit if people are going to be sitting on milk crates. Forget about my.
We have the same mentality. That's
So,
why we're sweating our ass
but,
off here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
except
so-
you bought a fucking Winn
Yeah.
Dixie.
I didn't buy anything. It's a lease. It's a
No,
negotiation.
You leased the
the
fucking
Russians
Winn-Dixie.
bought the Winn-Dixie.
No, the Russians don't have it anymore. There's no Russians. He fell through. So we have a nice Spaniard who owns the brewery now and the whole plaza.
That's awesome.
Luckily, I have a 20-year lease, so no worries
Not
about
26? Oh, you come
Oh,
on.
screwed up
come
there.
on.
anything. I'm sure we could figure out some. We'll make up a new unit and
You lose.
in some sort of animal years, not dog years, but
Yeah,
in some
that's
sort
right.
of animal year. Maybe elephant years. It's 26.
That's great.
Blue whale
So-
years. It's 26.
So we actually, Joey, I don't know if you could hear us while you were running around saving the still, but for the first...
Which, by the way, we almost had a meltdown.
Yeah,
was
it
crazy.
almost, like...
Joey
It
saved
got
us all.
crazy. The chiller just shut off. The still was still going. All the guys in the distilling world, you know how that can get. I actually remember an episode of Moonshiners where like the cooling system wasn't going off.
The
and
river
they're-
dried up.
Is that, by the way,
Whatever.
let me interject here and say that may be the first time I've ever used still used as, I don't know, verb and a noun there. The still was still going. I guess that happens to you guys a lot.
Oh
but
yeah, we're straight from the still.
I always laugh when I say do in a sentence. It sounds like do. Like I do that often, but the still one was really cool. But
That
anyway, sorry.
crazy
Not to,
English language. in
sorry,
our-
this
in
is
our,
still only beer 1.5, so I don't know.
I know. I haven't
the
eaten
attention
anything
span.
today. It's because I weigh in at night for Weight Watchers. So beer and empty stomach for me, I'm doing.
A
just
wise
fine.
man once told me there's at least 2 pork chops in every beer, so you're good. So anyway, yeah. So I mean, there all these laws. I anytime I always take any of these with a grain of salt because, all right. So if I make crayons, if I'm Crayola and I want to go to a school and I want to give them free crayons,
Good luck.
and but I don't know if that's legal or not. I think
I
that's
think
legal.
I think it is.
It's legal
I think it's
to
allowed.
give my product away, but like, so why? I mean, granted, there's alcohol, and I'm not giving it to school children who are playing with crayons.
Yeah, what
so
are
I
those
guess I'm a
shitty
great
crayons?
example.
Rose? We used to get those. Those are the free
Those are the ones that
Rose.
were
Joey
given
grew
away
up in
for
the
free.
ghetto, though. That's you guys. What was it?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't go to
what was
Jupiter
it?
City.
Gulliver? No. What was the new school? When I started in Cooper City, they didn't have that.
Embassy
school.
Creek.
No, even Embassy Creek. The one on it was like Flamingo, just west of Flamingo. The high school you went to.
Cypress
Cypress
We went
Bay?
to Cypress.
Oh,
Oh, I
Cypress
didn't
Bay?
go to that one by Rock Creek.
Yeah, what was
No,
it?
I didn't go to that one.
What was it?
I have no.
Started
I
with
don't
an
even
F,
know.
think?
I thought it was a charter
It
school.
was like Cooper City, the second one. A lot of people from Cooper City, which I went to Nova South University School, by the way. So just to clear
Really,
that
you
up.
didn't go to Cooper?
No.
Interesting.
I actually went to college with a lot of kids that introduced me as their friend from high school because I grew up in Cooper City and they think I went to school with them. It says something about class size, I guess. I don't know. But I went to a private school. I was too much of a liability when I was young. But anyway, so I don't know if there's any other industry where giving away product is an issue. But all of a sudden it is here, and it started with the tiers. You know, I'm influencing some bar to want to carry my product, so I'm giving them something for free. Which, you know, I mean, let's just call a spade here. InBev, Budweiser puts in draft systems for places. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm opening up a bar,
And-
all of a sudden they come by and they're
And
gonna
they
put
get
in-
slapped
they're
on the
gonna save me
wrist
a lot
for
of
it
money.
too, which is like I don't understand the enforcement in this industry because they like I saw an article that they got busted in Washington State for doing this, and they got a $50,000 fine.
But so,
Like which is nothing. Like
which
they got
says
only
something
one.
about the free. So the libertarian in me says that, all right, well, you know, if they can spend like $50,000, well, that's 3 draft systems they're putting in. You know, it's not cheap. I mean, granted, their cost. So maybe it's
They buy in
5,
bulk.
yeah, whatever it is. So it doesn't cost them that much, but it's still not cheap to do it. But you know, I spent $20-something thousand putting in my draft system myself, and
Why didn't you
but-
tell them to put it in for you?
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Just
But,
say that you're
they're-
gonna buy some
yeah,
Budweiser.
Yeah, they're
I'm
not gonna.
doing
Yeah, Budweiser. You could buy Budweiser at a 26 Degree Brewery.
Yeah,
Only
why not?
Yeah, I think it's $200 a pint right now.
Hey,
So
Yeah,
You
we're
never
gonna
know.
we're gonna have Bud Light on tap. How do you feel about that?
it's the only stuff on tap. Everything else is
I actually
26
I
cans.
just threw up in my mouth. I mean, look, no, like I
Gotta stay
also
hydrated.
I
Not
have
the
another.
same.
I mean, I love. You look at what Budweiser and Bud Light are. It's a. It's not my go-to beer. You don't see them in
No,
my
no,
fridge.
no, no.
I don't like what's happened politically, but I mean, I'm out in the middle of the ocean and I'm dying of thirst, and you say, what is one beer you need? I would say Bud Light, but granted, there's a lot of water in it. But I mean, it's an easy.
I'm definitely not like I'll take a Guinness.
Yeah. But it's also, I mean, it's remarkable that they have some technology, and I mean, the scientist in me really thinks it's remarkable what they do, and they repeat, and you don't get many beers unless it's, unless from the, in the bottles they have, it's heat struck or something. They're very, very consistent, and I think that's remarkable, and I respect that a ton. And I'm not here to knock their products or anything, but politically, what tries to happen to try to squeeze the little guy and try to squeeze growth, trying to, it's essentially what was happening post-prohibition.
We're going back.
And
I always say I was born in the wrong time. I'm just going to bring that time back.
So now all of a sudden I get a place on US 1 and, I know some cross street at like a nice hot place that looks like it's going to be a nice bar. And I'm building out, and then all of a sudden some rep comes by and says, hey, how much is it going to cost you to run your draft line? And I'm thinking, probably $20,000, whatever it costs, but I'm going to buy it. And then they say, well, how about I put that in for you? And well, great. Awesome.
Yeah, sign me up.
And it's like,
well, no, don't sign anything.
And
Don't sign.
and you can't say, and that's the weird thing. And I mean, there's gray area, so they're taking a risk, and now they're saying, well, you have to carry our products, or we appreciate it, or you just will. I'm endlessly.
Well, no, they just
appreciative.
deliver.
Yeah, and so
And here's the invoice.
So all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I'm
You
going to
didn't
get
order
there.
it.
I'm gonna, yeah, right. And then so I'm gonna carry their products. And granted, I mean, what is it? 85% of beer sold is Bud Light or whatever it is, and people are gonna like that beer. It's not, it's not offensive. It's an easy beer to drink and everything. And so of course, all right, I'll carry you guys. And all of a sudden, sell out. And as me as a brewery, I'm thinking they're selling out, but they're really just doing something that makes sense. But so now the libertarian in me says, well, if you want to do that and that makes sense, so now all of a sudden Budweiser, or InBev, they need to make money. So if they could afford to do all of that, and they can, obviously, because you don't do that at a loss. You calculate your losses, so they lose money, but there's an expenditure here, but they know that they're going to make in the long run much more money. So
but they can average out on a global level, like, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
markets that they have
Yeah.
access to that no one else does, and they don't have to incentivize those vendors, like the Caribbean.
Of
If
course.
Budweiser's on some random island in the Caribbean and no one else has
Brahma.
beer there, and they're
Yeah.
going to give them, lines for even cheaper, like, they're going to be forced to buy that, and they're going to pay the margin and make up the difference that you guys didn't pay.
No, exactly. Well, exactly. So they're an established, almost like a government. I mean, it's beyond a government because they're international, and so are the law. So, but now we back up a little bit. So why are the laws here? So now all of a sudden, all right, there's a red flag going on. So the shareholders and the board members of InBev are looking there. There's red flags going on. All of a sudden, we're losing. You need to keep growing. To be a publicly traded company, you got to keep growing. Forget about profits. You got to keep those profits. Got to increase.
Right.
So now all of a sudden, I'm not. Well, we're growing, but we're not growing. We grew at X percent. Now we're growing at X minus 10% this year. Now we're doing now all of a sudden I look at craft beer. That's growing, and that's eating our market share. So what are we going to do? All right, so I'm gonna all of a sudden exude my influence, and now I do own a lot or I have some influence over a lot of these distributors who 90% of their volume, or they do own, or 90% of their revenue is based on my product. There's a Miller or there's a Budweiser distributor. There's these houses, or there's little guys, and so all right, well, I'm going to tell them that they have to come along with me, and we're going to all of a sudden we're going to influence. We're going to have our 50 lobbyists in Florida, or whatever number it is. I could take a hint.
Well, you're sweating.
I sweat like crazy.
I do too. So I feel the
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah.
Look,
Maybe
can
it's
we
a weight
agree
thing.
that was part of the inversion? By the way, when they left the United States, part of that plan, when they actually looked at the M&A, was if we're no longer considered a manufacturer in the United States, we can take over the second tier for our distribution.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Like-
absolutely. Yeah. So now all of a sudden it's a strategic move every time.
And they
But
go before legislators lobbying as a manufacturer, but they're actually representing two tiers at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the
No,
craziest
crazy.
thing.
So I mean, if you eliminate that, you eliminate a lot. But does it solve all our problems? No, because now all of a sudden they're free to do everything they want. But so this glassware thing, well, what is it? Why are they so for it, and why is the Florida Brewers Guild, in my instance, why are they against it? Libertarian in me says, what the fuck? I want to, like, if I could afford it, I want to go over there and go to new bar number 1 and give them, 24 glasses and everything. Not that people came to me when I was opening.
Has
and
anyone
said,
asked you
never.
for glass?
No one's. Oh yeah, but it's like I would say 5 out, half of every any place we go to show our product and everything, they say, all right, we want to we're going to do this event, bring us
We
2
need something
cases
for
of glass.
POS.
So it's like, when I was opening up my brewery, no one came over and said, here's free glassware.
No.
Libby didn't come to me and say, try our glasses. And although they could have, they didn't, because it doesn't make economical sense.
Right, you're
Why
not
are they
like
gonna do it?
promoting to your
Yeah.
patrons, hey, you guys know this is
But now
Libby glassware.
if I'm huge and I buy enough of them, instead of paying $2 a glass, I pay 2 cents a glass. If I'm buying the container full, now all of a sudden I could afford
Just
to
give it
go
away.
over and give those away, like the InBevs of the world, and it makes sense to do it because I have so much of it. And now all of a sudden, now there's a disadvantage. So there's now if all of a sudden, right when I open, or still right now, I go to these restaurants and people are asking for all of this stuff. It's like, well, do you realize, all right, all of a sudden you don't, like, restaurants don't pay for a tap handle. It cost me $50 for a tap
Right,
handle.
custom.
My distributor, we split it, so it's 25. And then all of a sudden, all right, they buy 1/6 from me, and then they don't ever get it again. Now they pretty much own, unless there's a good accounting and the distributor gets that
Tap handle back.
tap handle back. If not, there was no profits in the first 1 or 2 beers that they buy,
Right.
because there was that tap handle, which is another thing which could totally
Is
be a
that and
whole
that
other
is that
thing.
an exception? Like they made an exception just for tap handles? Because like
It's,
technically they should have to buy it,
It's
right?
a weird thing, right? Yeah, it should be. And there are some distributors, to their benefit, I think that's a great thing. They skew it. So you have, just like if you get a keg, you have to put a deposit down. You put a deposit down on the tap handle. And
Why
it
not?
should be. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a $50 thing. I mean, a keg is $90, so,
No, look.
buying the wrong material. So, it should be there.
And the kegs
because-
go missing all the time.
Yeah, so
It's just-
exactly. I mean, you lose 20% of them. So it's you're operating at a loss, and then so it instead of rolling downhill, it rolls uphill on all those losses and everything. And trust me, nobody reached out for my tap room to help me, financially with my draft system or my glassware or anything like that. So and I love the idea. It is a marketing thing, I love the idea of having my 26 degree logo, maybe this or Huck the Pelican or something like that
hurricane?
on the
not a
the
hurricane.
Florida Gator.
Yeah.
So I like having that on the glass, because then it's all of a sudden I order a glass, no matter what beer's in it. It's like, well, what's that? And it's conversation.
And
it's
people take
all of a sudden-
pictures of it.
Yeah, so it's cool. But on the same note, if someone's all of a sudden going to fund people's glassware, fund their point of sale, like all their POS material, and now all of a sudden they're going to, in my opinion, give an unfair advantage to, like, all of a sudden they're not going to carry our products because we didn't give them all this free shit.
I think
And,
when I watched
I'd like to regulate that.
the president of the Distillers Guild, they had estimated that for a brewery that has 350 accounts, it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of like $250,000 a year.
Yeah,
If
which
you,
is
if you were to
crazy.
give everyone the maximum
Yeah.
glass, and the thing is, because you only have one company and one manufacturer, you're limited to your 5 cases. And then you have Budweiser comes in, they said, well, we have 400 brands or whatever the number is. And so each one gets 5 cases.
And then you have, I mean, I don't even know for sure, but I mean, Budweiser, they own their grain fields, they own their hops. I mean, they
Complete
do
vertical
all of it, so it's a
integration.
total vertical monopoly.
Presumably they have glass
So, or not, integrated.
glass companies.
So
'cause
yeah,
they're making
they could
bottles.
easily, or they
do. They
yeah.
have to.
Yeah, exactly. So they either do or they have. Yeah, they do.
That's like
Or
to say that
there's-
Coca-Cola doesn't make their own
Yeah.
cans. Like that'd be
So-
ridiculous.
Or they just have them by the, they have them by the balls so much that they, they
no,
they
they got
dictate
they got to
everything.
own it,
So,
right?
yeah.
They're the like 90%
So-
customer, and the 10% goes to
Yeah.
everyone else.
So it's it's almost gets into the point of of monopolies. So where there's an unfair advantage to just allowing anything. I mean, last year, 2 years ago, in the legislation, this whole 64-ounce growler thing, which was a joke. I was saying, like, let's duct tape 232s together, and that makes 64. And that was what I say is a hood ornament. But the real thing is they wanted to slow the growth of beer manufacturers by limiting the tap room. So behind that hood ornament was the whole 64-ounce growler rule, which they loved as their little figurehead that looked pretty and did everything. And it was a nice way to describe the whole bill. Was they were trying to limit how much beer we were allowed to sell out of our tap room. Their argument was saying that, what's to stop Budweiser from opening these little manufacturing plants all over these places?
Haven't they?
Saying that.
Didn't they do that?
Why haven't they?
Yeah.
They haven't? I
No.
thought they bought up.
No,
Didn't
they're buying things up, but they're not doing
but
it.
How is that not the same
Well,
thing?
they're
You're-
not doing
you're
it
an
with the
associated
intent. Well,
manufacturer.
their
now.
argument was, why are they doing that to buy out, like, to compete with the ABCs and the Total Wines of the world? So I put in a little manufacturing plant, and now all of a sudden I could sell my own beer and transfer my own beer and sell it without the distributor. So and no, they haven't. They're trying to do that. They're trying to integrate and they're not even changing the nature of those brands that they do, unless
Right.
unless
So-
you're looking at Goose Island, which
So
that's
in the
Swill now.
distilling world, and this is why it's interesting to have you on, like let's say I were to be purchased.
Uh-huh.
Someone comes and they like Bacardi decides to buy South Florida Distillers. Not that I'd ever take that offer,
Uh-huh.
but should they decide to and the number was right, we could talk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And if they were to buy me, right, all of a sudden my manufacturing capacity and quantity is tied to theirs. And if I exceed a certain production level, I can't have a tasting room.
Exceed there, so if you're
Yeah,
combining
all
there.
of a sudden now they
Well,
make
that's-
how much in Puerto Rico? Oh yeah, no tasting room in Florida.
Well, so and I think they did succeed with that or something like. So now it's 26 degrees. I can open I think 8 or 9 tap rooms, which was that in my
Without
opinion?
manufacturing?
No, with each one of them have to have manufacturing.
Okay, but you couldn't.
and transfer, so I guess their fear was, all right, so I have a 30 barrel system. I'm capable of what, like 4,000, depending on the fermentation time of the beer, let's say 4,000 barrels a year. And so I could open up a little place in a nice retail place
with like
a little bar,
1/100th barrel
with
system.
a barrel system.
Why?
And I could
Just
transfer
1/100th barrel, like
yeah, but,
tiny,
but,
like on
but
a little
so
stove.
what they're saying is now I can open that up and transfer my beer. I don't need to
Yeah.
buy it through a distributor, so I can transfer some of my 4,000 capacity to that one.
Right.
And now I can sell it there, and not now I have an unfair advantage to these other bars that have to buy it from a distributor that's marked up 26% or.
And
Probably. It's actually more than 26%, but I like the number.
That's actually, funny enough, what's on deck for the distilleries this round. So we have a pretty loaded bill on deck right now with the Senate. Is SB 166. It allows.
I
for
didn't know
all-
you're secretary too, Joey. This is
you
great.
know, he doesn't have a hat on, but he wears many hats.
Oh no, we do too. I just have to bust his balls here.
So we are going to be allowed, if everything goes as planned,
Mm-hmm.
to get a liquor license. Actually, it doesn't have to be a 4 COP. As far as I understand it, we just have to be licensed as a vendor. And we can do that in our tasting room, so we could pour cocktails. Now we can also, because we're a vendor, we can buy beer and wine from distributors, right? So now we can have a whole bar.
Yeah.
But not only
Like
that,
we can.
like you can, but
Yeah.
my products can go there without a distributor, right? Like you can for your tap room.
Yeah. So you're
Second-
you're providing yourself with your
With our own product, and we
you
pay the
can't buy
taxes
from another
and-
manufacturer directly.
Right. We can't actually in that model. I cannot buy from, let's say, Siesta Key. I can't buy Siesta Key rum directly from the manufacturer. However, I could buy Siesta Key rum from the distributor and bring it into my tasting room, so we could
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
different types of spirits and cocktails, whatever.
Yeah. Like I buy. I carry only local and Lagunitas because I owe a lot to them. They help me out with hops and everything.
So, yeah,
and,
just
and they
like
make
you
great
can carry
beer.
them.
But
Now-
I carry local beers and Lagunitas in my tap room.
So what's about
So,
to be
but
different,
I buy it from
though,
a distributor.
what's about to be different is that if it also passes, we get to have a second tasting room off-site, no manufacturing. Because if you include manufacturing, it excludes us from zoning. So like I can't put this on A1A.
Which it does with us as well.
Right. I can't put this on
unless,
A1A.
unless the local city makes an exception.
The local officials do not make exceptions for the distilleries because they don't know what that is.
Yeah, they
They
don't make them
think
yet,
like Bacardi when you say distillery.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
funny
of course.
enough, our first set of
Well, same-
equipment could have fit on this tiny
Yeah,
table.
well, we fought
here.
with that as well. You know, they're thinking of the Schlitz factory.
Right.
You know, like
It's just
you know,
insane.
it's
But we'll be able to
It's like a
transfer
baker,
our
really.
own product to an off-site tasting room without
further
a
than one
distributor,
city street. I think that's what the limit is
within
right
the
now.
county.
Right now, it's a city block for. You know, I could have a tap room, one city block. No, not city blocks. One city street across the street is you're allowed to be separated by like a reasonable city street or something. It's ridiculous.
And they
Vague
throw in
and
those
ridiculous.
hedge words so that you can
Yeah.
argue your way
It's
through.
vague. It's vague.
So I'm really excited.
No, that's awesome.
I hope that
And
comes
it should
through.
be. No, it should be. It should definitely be allowed. And yeah, I mean, granted, like I'm not looking to open up a bunch of craft bottle stores or beer stores and put in a little like kettle system where I can sell my own beer. But I would like to be able to, you know, if the guy right next door needs beer, I want to be able to sell him beer, you know, right over there and not have to compete with somebody else that has some sort of loophole in the law that can sell them directly, or somebody that owns the distributors too as well, just because they have an out-of-state manufacturer.
Don't write this out either. There are vendors that own their own distributors,
Yeah, and I don't think.
and we both sell to them.
Yeah, I don't think a vendor is allowed to own a manufacturer though. Like on that same
You can't have a distribution. You can't have a distribution license and a vending license either.
No, but so can you own a vending license and a manufacturing
No, not yet.
'Cause that's across
But
the
we're
whole
about
tier.
to be able to.
distillery?
Distillery. Now it's limited, and I don't want to get too deep into the specifics in case the legislators happen to watch our video. But for every distilling license you have, you'll be able to be licensed up to 3 times for vending.
And which look, in other manufacturing, I mean, there are tiers. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong because I may be speaking out of turn, but like if I'm manufacturing, because I see it all the time, I'm looking for a part for, you know, a plug for my pneumatics, you know, for my valves or whatever it is, and I go directly to Hoffman or someone, go directly to the manufacturer, and they say, well, you have to buy it from a distributor. They can't sell it directly to me.
Oh, they
so
could
there are,
if you incentivize them enough.
I'm sure. Well, I'd have to.
But they'd be breaking their distribution contract. But
Yes.
it's not legally enforced. It's
So,
only
all
enforced
right,
on paper.
So that's what I don't. Yeah, because there's not a lot of times they do it. Maybe it's out of convenience. Maybe it's like, look, I don't want to deal with I don't want to deal with the little orders of 1 or 2 cartons. I want to deal with the 1 or 2 pallets.
Well,
you
like,
know?
and on the same note,
1 or 2
like, you know, let's say
containers.
you're making a product that sells in Home Depot. Home Depot doesn't really want to deal with like mom and pop manufacturer, even though they might carry a product. They're going to buy from a distributor that sells them their plumbing supplies.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And you have to go
Logistically,
through
it
that.
makes
But
it
but
easier.
but it's not legally enforced. They could decide to make an exception.
So you can. So liquor is the only one where
Liquor is, in fact, the only one that I
or
know
spirits and liquor and
Yeah.
beer or
The
malted
3-tier
beverages
alcohol
and,
system.
Yeah, the alcohol.
of. You know, even in things like in firearms, which falls under the same departments for taxing. Like it's still TTB, it's still ABT. Oh, maybe it's not ABT, but it's still TTB.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't need a license to sell a gun.
Yeah. Well, don't get me started with that.
But, I mean, that's a different story. But like,
Yeah.
you know, that's even crazier.
Oh, yeah.
If you ask me,
Oh,
like
yeah, of course.
it's so restrictive here, and we know it goes back to tax.
Mhm.
For every bottle I sell between the feds and the state, they're collecting $3.50.
Oh yeah, look. I mean, what do they do? They're not coming here to look at my processes and make sure that. I mean, we have the. I mean, our place is as clean as a hospital. We have the cleanest brewery around. I'll put that on anyone. But they're not looking at to make sure that our health services
No, they don't
are
care.
correct. They're looking. They want to count our kegs.
Actually,
And-
in the distilling world, and we've discussed this before, you do not have health inspections if you're distilling high proof spirits.
None.
You're not required to fill out that section on the application. It's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Now, if you open a tasting room as part of the new legislation, they wanted to write
well,
in there
same
specifically.
with breweries.
Yeah,
unless
the health
you're-
department
if
comes,
if you have a tap room, you need to do the health.
and
room.
that as it should be.
And I agree. I agree 100%. But you're right. I mean, ultimately, they're not looking at.
No, they
how-
don't. They come to inspect, right? Because I don't know about the brewing world, but in distilling world, the state comes to inspect us every 6 months. First, they do an
Yep.
inventory count, and then
Yep.
they delay like 2 or 3 months, and they
Yep.
come and collect the records that prove the inventory that
Yep.
they counted, right? And when they come, and they're very friendly, they're great people. Like,
Oh yeah, they're great.
love working with them, right?
Yeah.
They even come to like just do
Notice
tours.
he's
and
real
stuff.
careful about saying that. He
No,
loves you
look,
guys.
they want me to train them, and
No,
that's
I agree.
another
I agree.
discussion
They're,
completely.
no, they're very very fair and very Because I mean, they know. I think they would be able to spot someone trying to screw them as the thing, and they know that we're more meticulous than they could ever dream of.
I mean, I wrote
So-
software to manage my distillery for them. Otherwise, if I didn't need to show it to them, I wouldn't have written the software at all.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's just macros on Excel, not as cool. But
Well, I thought you guys got Oracle. Did you not? It was too expensive?
yeah, no Oracle here.
No Oracle.
We have Pinnacle.
Can I tell you, there's a new system, and this is not a paid advertisement, although they're welcome to sponsor the show, Stillhouse. And we talked about this a long time ago. They make a new software called Brewhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I use Distillery Solutions for the distillery, and it's perfect. In fact, it's so much documentation because of the way it keeps the records that the state doesn't want to audit it.
Is it on top of QuickBooks? Like, is it?
It does not go on top of QuickBooks, but you can manage all of the invoices directly
you could do
in
templates
there
onto it.
if you wanted to.
How much is it a month? Tell everyone.
I don't know.
Tell us.
It's new. The brewery software is like a fork, if you will.
I think
off
I
of the
remember
distillery
going onto it
software.
after you said. I don't remember you telling me about it, but that's
They
how I
just
operate.
rebranded
But I
and
remember reading
everything.
it. No, it seems great. I use QuickBooks, and I have a bunch of workarounds, and for me to train my successor one day would be tough, but there is, on Enterprise, there is a good way. You can't, it's tough to track batches, although you can.
See,
And,
they want to see my batch tracking.
Yeah, but that,
And now it's a massive
well,
tree.
I do it on Excel because of that.
I don't even know how
Yeah.
you do it on Excel.
I can show you. I mean, it's just-
At least in comparison to the way that this software does it. It makes a tree. So I could, and it's different for beer because of the way the manufacturing process
Just
goes.
be prepared. This is engineering boringness.
No,
for
no,
the
real
audience.
quick.
This is
You-
Avi and I could
it's
get
not
on.
engineering.
You see, Joey's asleep right now.
Oh, right.
No, he's here trading cryptocurrency. We're both long Ethereum right now.
You just made me
And-
think of. I heard crypto, and you lost me after that.
Well, some people say you got me at crypto.
Do they, with all these fancy legalized things, like do the kids still smoke crypto these days, or is it known as like?
It's totally a
Crippy.
South Florida thing. I've
Oh,
said
really?
that-
Crypto wasn't around everywhere else? Crippies?
No.
I want to name a beer after
I went
it.
to college out of the state. I say
didn't know
these
what
things,
Crippies
and
was?
people are like,
Get out of here.
I don't know how to help you, brother. Like,
Oh, but I mean, it's
no
just,
idea what you're
so
talking
it's just
about.
basically like you would get the we would call swag or regs, and
I don't
that
even
that
know
had,
where to
like
buy
the
that.
stems.
They don't sell
That
that.
doesn't
don't sell
exist
that
anymore.
anymore.
But back in the day, you get a headache. You get like really stoned for like 20 minutes, and you get a headache, and you're tired, and you cough like crazy from it. And then like when I was in maybe 11th grade or something, they had this green sappy awesomeness called it crypto.
It's that fuego.
It's like the fuego of weed. And then now that's all you get, And I don't think kids now they have the.
No, they don't have
Nah,
weed
they're
anymore.
spoiled.
They have
Yeah, they don't
indica.
have
They
weed.
have.
They don't have
Oh
weed
yeah,
anymore.
it's vaporized.
Joe,
They
There's-
have,
shatter.
they
in
have
fact,
oils.
along the
Wax,
legislation
butter.
lines in Florida, we all voted November, yes,
yes.
medical
Good job,
marijuana,
everyone. Good
except
job, everyone.
now we're going to put forth some legislation where you're not allowed to smoke it or eat it.
Oh really? I haven't
But, like,
followed that, but I.
You go ahead and use it.
Yeah.
I was talking with some last night. We had
Enemas.
some
Marijuana
we had the
enemas.
we had a CRA update meeting at the brewery, which is all the local businesses last night.
Well,
and
that's convenient.
one of the head of zoning was talking about like how they're gonna enforce everything with all the zoning criteria and everything, and it's ridiculous what the states are. He's like, well, I don't think we need to do anything because the state's already saying there's only going to be one per every.
Per 67,000 in the city.
Yeah, it's going to be this ridiculous thing, and it's like, I mean, at the end of it, this is a whole different discussion, but I mean, come on. I wanted to interject and be like, I mean, I have plenty of space right now. I'd
Well,
love to-
look, you
love to
think that we bought
subdivide it.
this property without the intention of trying to solicit the city of
Dispensary.
Hollywood to give us
So
a
I think
license?
you and I are far apart. We're far apart away. We're far away enough, and
I mean, for the city of Hollywood, they gave 2 licenses. They required it to be in a certain district, which is not our district, which I don't agree with.
no, yeah, of course.
What my
It's
pitch to
ridiculous.
the city is like, look,
Wait, what district does it need to be in? Is it like retail?
this is
or
District 1 as far as I'm concerned. This is District 1
Tier
of
1,
Hollywood.
District 1.
Tier 1, District 1. We also called the property District 1 for intentional brand confusion with the city. So now when I submit plans, it says from the District 1 Hollywood, and that's going into zoning.
Oh my God.
And so I'm hoping that they look at it and they say, oh, this is like a commissioner thing. Let's just stamp it. I don't know if it works that way, but we'll see how it happens. But yeah, definitely, I'm trying to convince the city that, like, look, we're already in a regulated business.
Uh-huh.
I get audited by the state pretty much every 3 months, actually, right?
Uh-huh.
If you want this to be a success in your city and you want more licenses and more tax dollars, let me have the license because I will make it a success. It doesn't matter if I make money or lose money, but I'll make it look like it's a success at least.
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
city.
yeah, yeah.
And we have the best location with regards to the airport. Everyone lands. They'll land. They'll come get their rum.
Well-
they'll come get their weed, and then they can go to Fort Lauderdale and they
it's
can
a
do whatever the
no-brainer.
hell they want.
And it's a no-brainer.
Right? So that's what we're
I mean,
hoping.
you can make spirits here. I mean, come on.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
personally think it should be total retail. It could be everywhere.
Oh,
you
we'll
know.
get there. We'll get there.
But
Not yet, though.
but yeah, I mean, but like if not, I mean, if it's not in like in a tier 1, as you're saying, or whatever industrial district, where can it be? You know?
Well, let's actually we should go on the record. If they do break it into 3 tiers, can we'll join together in the 2nd tier.
I'm not going to mention my wife's name, but I do, or my father, but I
That's okay.
do have access to a lot of physicians if we need to.
It's
I'm
true.
not
But
saying that
but
they
we could do
would write any
distribution.
scripts.
If
here.
we've learned anything,
Oh yeah, well,
we
we'll
want
go
to be in
distro. Yeah,
distribution.
we got a
so
distro.
so I don't think there's anything preventing the alcohol tier 1 from entering the weed tier 2. And
we could like make cans that are quickly like make them into a quick.
No,
I
I
can't
can't
first
smoke
it's-
that
and it's
aluminum.
packed
no,
already.
no, you can. First
No,
it
you
starts
can't.
off
All
as
right,
a
so we'll
shotgun.
change the product,
It's a shotgun beer can.
No, you shouldn't
which I
smoke
also want to
aluminum.
invent a little pull tab.
They
You
already
should.
have it.
Do they?
Yeah, they definitely have a shotgun.
I don't think. Well, in a lot
I've
of
never
places,
seen
pull
that.
They
tabs
have
are
a
illegal.
shotgun-worthy beer. I've
Like
seen
like
it.
in Florida, you can't have pull tabs for like on beer.
It's like
Has
a
to-
bro beer. It's like branded for bros.
But it would be awesome to like just pull it and then you shotgun the beer.
Yeah, but
Not that we're
Hashtag tight
condoning
butthole.
mass consumption. Or
No
quick
mass
consumption.
consumption. Always use
Just
safe.
enjoy the
Whatever.
beer.
There's that government warning
Yeah, the
on
whole
all this
thing.
stuff.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Where
I
you
could
just
read
copy
it
and paste it. I'm not really sure what it
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
but I know it has
According
to be
to
at
the
least
Surgeon
2
General,
millimeters
women
on my
should not
bottle.
drink alcohol beverages during pregnancy because of the risk. Birth defense,
And
consumption of alcohol
actually,
beverages.
along that first lines, when my wife was pregnant,
Mhm.
sometimes she said we were pregnant.
Yeah,
Does
the whole
that
we.
number one apply to?
Well,
to
first of all,
that
when you're married,
situation?
I noticed when you get married, the we, it's the royal we. It's like in the Big Lebowski said, the editorial we. It's just you become a we, you become a unit, and it's like, oh, we don't like that. It's like, no, I like that plenty.
Right.
But so it's we everything. So yeah, we are
So
pregnant.
we
and I feel
cannot
bad. I'm like,
drink.
I'm not. I'm like, we're pregnant right now. My wife.
I know.
is
Yeah.
X
Congratulations.
amount. Thank you. But in July we're gonna have a baby, and we are gonna have a baby. But technically, she's the one who has to deal with all of the.
Gross
That's
stuff.
tough.
And she knows
You
all
know?
about it. This is
I
what she
try to
does.
make it like it's tough on me, but it's not.
No, because you're still drinking beer. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You're just surrounded
love
by
you, Allie.
deliciousness all day, right?
She's actually. I was just texting her. Well, I was sending her a picture because she was calling me, and then I should just get her on speakerphone.
You could.
Um,
Next time I'll have it hooked up so we could just call her in.
So I texted her the selfie I took earlier and said, I'm busy.
My wife asks me all the time what I do at work, and then she showed up the other day and we're trading cryptocurrency, and she's like, "This is what you do all day?" I'm like, "Well, we're making rum too.
Yeah, the still's running.
Still
So
is
she-
running.
So you can see. Could you see that? Like this is what she texted me back.
Is that 3D
It's a fetus.
or the 4D or whatever it
My
is?
fetus.
Mm.
I love you, Owen, or whatever your name will be. if you watch this in 10 years. Can you see it?
Yeah, no, we can
It's
see it for
3D.
sure.
That was a while ago, though. I feel like he's much more developed than that. And I also feel like that's, you could tell me more than that, but I mean, I'm sure fills in a lot of blanks. Like, I don't think that's what he really looks like. Like, they get a lot of
Like,
points in there.
You-
Like, come
as
on.
in, like, they just feed you some fake image and they're like, "Look
No,
at this
no, no,
technology,
no, no,
we
no,
made
no.
4D
Like,
ultrasounds."
there's a lot of other things. There's like tissue, there's fluids, there's other things that detects as baby's flesh,
Yeah,
and then it puts that on the baby, and it's like,
it's
all right,
hard
he
to
doesn't have
say.
that lump here, like whatever it is, and it's like, because people are saying, oh, he looks like, he has your eyes, he has this and that. I'm like, fuck no. Like, yeah, he looks like
It's hard
nobody
to say.
right
I
now.
remember I went to the first
like
ultrasound with
Yogi.
Vic, and like they're doing it and they're like looking at just all black. It's not like there was anything else. And like, "Oh, this looks great." I'm like, "What are you looking at?" Well, there's nothing.
Do you guys
Oh.
need, do you need a towel, by the way? Anyone? You good?
Sure, why not?
All right.
Yeah, I remember that. That's good.
But anyway, so what were we talking about anyway? To get more topical, we were on the 3-tier
So
evil.
legislation. There's one more piece that, and again, remember, I don't know where the content cut out. We'll find that out in post. But there's one more piece of legislation that I think's funny because I want to see how it develops since we're at the beginning of it.
Mhm.
They are allowing an exception for tier 1 brewers.
Mhm.
I don't know if it applies to distillers. It might just be brewers.
It's just brewers.
To be able to provide sponsorship money to amusement parks.
Yeah,
What
you
does
get
that mean?
26
So-
Degree sponsors Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, that's like Splash Mountain by Budweiser.
I mean,
at
yeah, I
Disney.
mean, like the biggest thing that jumps out at me is Busch Gardens, right?
By
That's what,
Budweiser.
I'm not. I gotta apologize. I
But
gotta
are they
apologize.
still there?
No, I don't think they are, but I think that's
No.
probably. I know a lot of the current legislation or a lot of the current statutes in Florida evolved from like basically, basically stuff made for Busch Gardens to be able to survive. That's how the tap room came about because Busch Gardens. So
But I
So-
thought the thing at Busch
but I don't
Gardens
know,
was
so
always
that's what-
pitched as like, oh, here's like a historical museum. Go
well,
look at the
that's why they
horses and
kept
whatever.
saying. That's why they're always on like tourism. It has to promote tourism, because here you have this tourist place, so a
Right.
tap room had to provide tourism. And no, they're not. Aside from the name, which I don't even know if it's still Busch Gardens or whatever, but I don't think they're still even a part of Busch Gardens.
No, they sold it.
Oh man, it's warm, but I don't mind the beer warm.
There's some in the fridge.
I don't-
cold.
We need the Avi. You need to build a robot that could just take it here.
I know. Actually, I had kids for
Conveyor
that
system.
reason. They should
Which
just
I
be
actually
here.
do want you to look at my canning line and help me. I wanted like a conveyor system.
Yeah,
I wanna
sure.
figure that out.
There's a company out in Tampa called Inline Filling
Of course,
Systems
he knows this.
that makes all this canning, bottling
Stuff
stuff
already for it.
locally. I'm a big fan of buying stuff like that moves locally because
Mhm.
then you can call them and
Oh,
make
of
them
course.
come over.
Oh yeah. And your
Um,
shipping's less and everything. But the worry is once it's, I like to kind of design a product that's not already made like specialty because all of a sudden now it's, something that could cost you, like my control panel for instance that you helped me build. You basically built for me. I drilled a couple holes
That's
and
okay.
tried to
You
figure
know,
it
you
out.
help.
But if there's a proprietary thing, if I wanted to buy that, or you're paying $100 a month for this product, so you're paying $1,200 a year for something like that, or it gets all of a sudden what the guts of it, does it cost that much? No, but all of a sudden they have something that you don't know what to do, and so
But yeah,
I think-
the conveyors and stuff, that's super easy.
Yeah.
We were scoping out a bottling line for here,
Mhm.
so I have prices and all that stuff I could
Mhm.
show you.
yeah, just like an either way, it's another conversation.
Another conversation.
But but the amusement park, I don't know what the intent is, but typically when laws are written, and it's starting to change now that the breweries, we do have a lot more power, and not necessarily, it's not necessarily a cash capital, although we do, there are some big breweries, Cigar City was recently bought out, and, a couple others, and there are breweries
They
that
were
do
bought
have some
out?
capital. Yeah, they're Fireman Capital owns, I don't know what percentage, but, they are, and they're a trust or a fund that owns, they own Oscar Blues and a couple others, and they did it for a lot of the right reasons. We'll see how it pans out if 10 years from now, if they're trying to liquidate, and if that's a good thing or if it's better for these places to sell to InBev, I don't know.
Right.
It's a time for a discussion another time because what are funds trying to do? They're trying to grow, and then they want to sell.
And they sell to realize the
But
game.
then do these guys know what they're selling too? So all of a sudden, are they going to sell? Is it going to be good for the industry or bad for the industry? Most likely, slow down a little bit. I've been speaking fast, but most likely it's going to be either sell to InBev. Now they have a package. Now they have 10 breweries that are making a lot of money.
and they
it's a lot
have
more
like the
worthy.
VC guys who know how to package stuff properly.
Exactly.
Like,
But either way, so there are some, but the strongest capital that the breweries in general, and you saw it with the 64-ounce growler bill, is we had one lobbyist or one the attorney Josh representing our guild, and a couple others working in the wings. We had Ross and we had a couple others, but really the manufacturers and the wholesalers that were going after the Hood Ornament 64-ounce growler bill, they had something like 30 lobbyists going through, talking to everyone, educating these legislators, telling all these things, and what eventually won out was that I don't care how much money you have, if you walk into Funky Buddha and you look in their tap room and you see all of the people that are there and all of the population, then all of a sudden you have all these people that are voting for their state legislator. That's all of a sudden they're going to get him out of office, and all of a sudden Funky Buddha says, don't vote for this guy, he's against breweries. And I don't care how much money you're donating to anything, if Funky Buddha's telling them, all their fans, all of a sudden get out and vote for this guy, they're going to win their battle. So I don't care how much money InBev's putting to these state senators and state representatives. If you have the power of the people going out there and your voice, then and most people do support the little guys, then you're going to win out, and it seems to be working.
well, I can only hope the best for the brewing world. Maybe we'll start to see some glass and Flanagan's. I don't know. It's a possibility, but I will say if I do see it, I'll take a picture and I'll put it on Facebook. why
Now,
don't
if a vendor chooses on their own to advertise a manufacturer, they're allowed to do that as well. So if somebody wanted to, advertise Budweiser and pay, and buy the glassware and do all that and put it on their own, they're allowed to do that, of course. So you're allowed to support the home team if you want to.
Oh, for sure. And people have to open up the coffers. That's what it comes down to. I'm going to wrap this up. I think we got a lot of really interesting stuff on here. I definitely want to do this again. Hopefully next time we'll have all of the audio being recorded. But why don't you tell everyone where they can find out some more information about 26 Degree Brewing?
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. We're very active on Facebook. You go to Facebook /26 Brewing, and our webpage as well is we're very diligent about keeping that updated. You can see our menu, you can see everything going on, all events, and that's 26brewing.com. And
You're that diligent about keeping up the website, Avi. Apparently that's important.
Out of all people, I would think you would have that dynamically linked by now. Because we certainly
You'd think so.
You'd think so. I have it. It's running locally on my own computer, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's made 17 other websites.
I'm just not going to show you. It's really for my own personal thing. So
you don't have enough computing power? Is that what you're saying?
Not enough computing power.
I've
directed all my computing power at mining Bitcoin and Ethereum. So everything else, we can't do it. We just can't do it. Well, thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Oh no, it's been great. It's been a good time.
Great.
Again,
I do have an idea, by the way, when we were talking about something about collaborations with other breweries and distilleries, but I don't want to say it because I don't want anyone to grab a hold.
No. We'll talk about that off air, and we'll release that with some press releases.
But just this is a little foreshadow of there's some really cool things about to happen with some Palm Beach breweries, one in Broward being us, and hopefully South Florida Distillery coming up.
Well,
Distillers.
I keep always doing that. I think I did that on the radio.
I think everyone does it. It's okay.
Distillery. Well, we're called 26 Degrees, plural, all the time. So I don't know which is worse. But, I mean, either way, if you look at it in the long run, if I Google that, I'm still going to find you. So.
Oh, for sure. And if you Google South Florida...
And if I don't find you, then it's Avi's fault for not getting that webpage.
If I
don't find you, it's
Avi's fault.
Google
marijuana rum, you'll find us too.
Yeah, so... Wow. Yeah, but it is South Florida Distillers.
Distillers, with an S.com.
You know what? I got to go back to the tape because I think I was saying one of them, and then I'm watching it with my partner, Jonathan, and I kept saying, I was saying it wrong watching the tape when we were on the Shark, but I think I was saying it right. Either way.
We'll go on to the Shark and we'll correct
We're in a distillery with
one of
Distillers.
These days, we'll sneak back on the Shark.
We got to get back on there.
Okay,
you hear that, Toast and Ashley?
Well, Ashley's MIA. I don't know where she is, but
really?
Aaron was on the air
She's
with
just being a
Toast in
mother.
his Hooters outfit.
Toast looked good.
Toast looked really good.
It's from all that beer I gave him.
It's the back hair that does it.
Yeah. That's sexy rug.
Anyways, again, I'm gonna switch it over here. Greg, thank you very, very much for coming on the show. I am going to edit this as quickly as I can, get it posted with as much content as we actually got on tape. Hopefully the next month brings some really interesting changes to the Tier 1 world.
I
think we can look
power
forward
of
to
the
good
people.
things,
I mean, this is what everyone wants. You want some. We're the good guy. We're the little guy. We're the living the American dream, sweating our asses off, trying to work our asses off, trying to make it happen.
You two are sweating your asses off.
And somehow you keep looking pretty, but who knows? It's too much of that crypto.
Yeah. Thanks again. This wraps up another episode of Straight from the Still. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.